It's tough out there. No one's shopping like they used to. I don't care what the news says.
Well, a lot of people have gone to the online shopping, so you
Right.
don't see it locally, and that's just a phenomenon of the,
Yeah.
people,
Well, you got in the habit of ordering that way.
yeah.
And they found out it is more convenient.
Is Jim coming to look?
I don't believe so. I did not get a yes or no from
Well, I'll move down next to Jim.
We're
So I
good.
don't have to yell at you.
Please
Or
don't.
yell.
Please don't.
It's on the first page in the folder, right?
The last time you had the attorney here, he's not going to be here tonight.
Pardon me?
I saw that the attorney was here last time.
Yeah, the attorney was here last time, just for backup on the, he knows that formula inside and out, and the denominator and all of that. So if there were any questions that came up regarding that, I wanted him here to help us with that explanation.
Yeah.
We still don't like spending money on lawyers.
No. Previous board did spend a lot of money on it.
Exactly. Still trying to make up for that.
It's my lawyer monitor over here.
Yeah.
Okay. It is 7 p.m. and the clerk is not in attendance tonight. So I'm going to go ahead and open the meeting with a call to order. So we're going to call the Mchenry Township monthly regular meeting to order at 7 p.m. on January 12th. If you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all. Sorry about that. I was thinking ahead. With the clerk not being in attendance, I spoke to the clerk and asked her to appoint a deputy clerk for this meeting to take meeting minutes, and she recommended John McCredo. So Trustee McCredo will be keeping minutes tonight. Is that okay with you guys?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So just wanted to make sure that everybody is aware that that's taking place. So from that standpoint, I'll ask for the...
I'll start with roll call.
Yep.
Supervisor Bartlett.
Here.
Trustee Yeager.
Here.
Trustee McCredo. Here. Super. Trustee Saver.
Here.
And Ben Nagel, not present.
Okay.
Any public comment?
You are recognized.
Hello, is this thing on? No.
No.
Press and hold the button. It'll light up when you turn it.
Hello, my name is Robert Beltran. I live in Mchenry Township, and I'm only making a comment, remark regarding the grant watch item on the agenda. I'm looking forward to seeing what that involves. I have a lot of grant experience, having been a federal grant manager who solicited, reviewed, evaluated, authorized, and administered grants. And I think that grants are a good source of funding that the township has not exploited as well, as fully as it could have and should have in the past. In fact, at one point, under probably 8 years ago, I even wrote a community development block grant on behalf of the township for seeking funds for improving township roads. Failed to get funded largely because I didn't include enough of the township in it. It didn't, the reviewed board, I didn't think that it was large enough. So no reason we can't go through some of those too. And if you need anybody to participate in a committee or anything of that nature, I'd be willing to do that. Thank you.
Probably count down.
Thank you. Pardon me?
City probably count down.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay, with no further public comment, we'll move into the approval of the Mchenry Township regular board meeting minutes from November 10th. They were included in your package. The items that were highlighted in yellow were the specific items that were suggested by the trustees for change. I'll just call for a motion for approval or changes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes with the changes.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed say nay. The ayes have it, the motion carries, the minutes are approved. The second item on the list, 3.2, is approval of the Mchenry Township monthly meeting minutes from December 8th. They were included in the packet. I guess I would call for a motion for approval or any changes. Well, here, I'll just do it. I'll make a motion to approve or amend the meeting minutes.
Second.
Okay. Trustee McCredo, do you have any changes?
I don't know if we need to go any deeper in the subject regarding the clerk. Other than that, I'm fine with the minutes the way they are.
Okay.
I'm fine with the minutes.
Okay.
I'm fine.
Okay. Since we have a first and a second to approve, all those in favor of approval?
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. No nays, ayes have it. First and the second, my memory. Adam, you were the second, correct? Correct,
Yeah.
Trustee Shaver?
Yep.
Okay, that's completed. 3.2, the approval of the town and GA levy meeting minutes from December 8th. May I get a motion for approval or and/or changes?
So moved.
That's 3.3.
Yeah, 3.3.
I'll second it.
Okay. I have one change in the footer. It just needs to be changed from township facilities should, or excuse me, let me start at the beginning of the sentence here. It's at the very end, the last paragraph. It's changed from Supervisor Adams to Supervisor Barlow.
So
It's
noted.
just, yeah. All those in favor of the corrections, or I guess, can I get an amended motion to include the corrections?
I'll make a motion to amend to include the corrections. Second.
And all those in favor of the meeting minutes?
Aye.
With those changes, aye. Those opposed? No nays. Meeting minutes pass with the changes recommended. 3.4, approval of GRB and the GRB of PHR. May I get a motion for approval or changes prior to approval?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have one change, same from the previous ones, the last paragraph, change Adams to Barlow.
I'll make a motion to accept the change.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Ayes have it. Meeting minutes are approved with the change. Okay. 4.0 is motion for approval of receipts and bills for the town fund.
We, the undersigned members of the Mchenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have this 12th day of January 2023 examined and audited the amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorize payments of the same. Total reimbursements to be approved, none. Total bills to be approved, $9,051.05. Total bills paid prior audit, $42,757.50. Total to be approved, $51,808.55. A motion to approve.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This is money, do we have to do?
Oh, yeah, that's correct. So I need to do a roll call, or you do the roll
Yeah.
call since you're taking it.
Adam?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
John, yes.
General Road and Bridge Fund? I think that's Trustee Shaver.
Yep. We, the undersigned members of the Mchenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have, on this 12th day of January 23, examined and audited amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorized payments of same. Total reimbursements to be approved, $0. Total bills to be approved, $23,584.30. Total bills paid prior to audit, $29,440.72. Total to be approved, $53,025.02. Make a motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second. Either one.
Okay, with Trustee Yeager's second. Roll call, please.
Mr., my mind went blank, I apologize, Adam. Mr.
Yes.
Shaver?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
John, yes. Gary?
Yes. Motion's approved. 6.0 is motion for approval of receipts and bills for permanent hard road.
We, the undersigned members of the Mchenry Township Board of Trustees, certify that we have this 12th day of January 2023 examined and audited the amounts due for the items specified in the claims attached and hereby authorized payment of the same. Total reimbursements to be approved, $0. Total bills to be approved, $1,619.30. Total bills paid prior to audit, $30,225.22. Total to be approved, $31,844.52. Total receipts, $9,011.82. I make a motion that we pay this.
May I get a second for the approval of receipts
Yes.
and bills? Okay.
Roll call, Adam?
Yes.
Mark?
Yes.
Gary?
Yes.
John, yes.
7.0 is the fund transfer. There's no fund transfer this evening. Now we move into 8.0, new business. 8.1 is to discuss grant launch. So at the last meeting, I was provided a few grants from the website that Trustee Mchenry handed me in regards to some grants that were available. One, I'll start off with, these grants are mainly focused on the town right now, as far as roads and stuff. Jim does, the road commissioner, Condon, takes care of his grants. So I will dive into that so I have more background as we move through it. So tonight we're really going to talk about town. So one of the ones that Trustee Mchenry asked was about Major League Baseball and the Youth Development Foundation. After doing the research and looking at it, it doesn't really fit. If we were to be sponsoring a team or have a park district in-house in a league, that's where this money or that foundation would help us out. But the way that we're currently organized, this didn't include maintenance of fields for what I'll say a governmental body that's supplying a field. So that one didn't really fit.
Is that the one because of Major League Baseball?
Correct, Major League Baseball. The second one I looked at was called Trails, and that one, perfectly understanding why you looked at it. we want to start building walking trails and things of that nature and start looking for funding there. This was through the corporation Polaris, and this is for off-road UTV quad runner type trails.
Not snowmobile?
No. Snowmobile trails, yes. But, yes, it is. Well, let me go back. They said all-terrain off-road riding.
Would that potentially make sense at all, because we
We are not,
classify those as, or Johnsburg at least classifies those as golf carts?
well, I would believe that the snowmobile clubs would be the ones to go out for this grant.
Well, why wouldn't we want to get involved? Just asking a question. I mean, it is our property.
I'd have to go back and research exactly. Yes, they do have a route through here,
Correct.
a small trail, but yeah, for the improvement of that, I guess I'll look back into it and see if that is what it takes.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Exactly what do they provide funding to do or for? Sure they have criteria.
Trail development and maintenance projects, responsible riding, access, project to increase and maintain land access, educational initiatives, lobbying, and safety.
Okay.
It could include the golf cart idea that Adam had.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've talked previously about, there was an issue a while back about golf carts crossing certain streets that were or were not included in areas where they're allowed to be. But if there were more areas, I mean, it's just a thought, if there were more areas like that where some of them could possibly go, the normal golf carts can't, but I've seen people going up and down the street in those, like.
I mean, golf carts got to be extremely popular in both neighborhoods, we know
Of
that.
course, yeah.
Okay, I'm trying to understand, this is our off-road that we own is this park, and the two other parks, well, then that little crescent park, that's the land that we would have to open up to trails. So is there enough land to create an off-road park? What I think you guys are talking about is legalizing or implementing, as all of the communities around, golf carts.
So I think that,
Is that correct or wrong?
so partially correct, but I think there's more to embellish, so possibly, we're always looking for ways to be more involved with the community, right?
Sure.
And so possibly if the other villages or towns that are part of the township have not been familiar with this grant, perhaps we would lead the way kind of going down that path. We could also look at it as a partnership with the local communities to maybe include all of the surrounding area, and they would then submit the same type of applications for the grants. So be a good way to connect maybe our parks with some of the other people in areas that could get to it then by golf cart, ATV, etc.
Okay, understood.
That's the only reason I pulled that one out.
Yeah.
I mean, if you go to the Grant Watch website, there's thousands of grants out there.
Yeah.
Correct.
I mean, I pulled 3 or 4 that might apply.
Yeah. And the last one that you had pulled was regarding shade structures, and I understand that one completely for putting over bocce balls or playgrounds or whatever else. We have to have an active sun safety and skin cancer awareness program to get the funds. So that's what we would have to be able to get funds from the Dermatological
But is that difficult
Society.
to come up with?
I was saying, like if you put signage out and
Right. Stay out of the sun for, there's grants. I didn't
And
make
do they
this stuff
define
up.
what is an active program?
Right, you have the program, right.
Correct. Yeah.
We'll just discuss it.
Understood. I just don't think that, and I'll be very honest, is that we have the personnel to be able to go out and research putting a dermatological program
Well, we
together.
might have people out in the community that are willing to do that. with
Having
programs.
shading structures is an active
Right.
skin cancer prevention program inherently.
Yes.
yeah.
So that was those comments. I mean those. So what we've done is, or what I'm working is, we're working with a person familiar with the local grants like CDBG, and things of that nature. We've come up with CDBG, home grants, there's things of that nature, and then we're also working on, where's that piece of paper? And maybe I'm mistaken and prioritized it incorrectly, but what we are, or what I'm seeking, or what I'm trying to do is look for grants that will focus on I don't have all my notes here, I apologize, but the things that we're focused on is, one is additional grants for the bus service, number one. I think that's part and parcel of what we're doing.
We
is
already
trying
have two
to-
in place, I believe, for that, correct?
We have one in place, and there's another one coming up that we're working on, and what we've engaged the grant writer to help us write our grant so that we could go for more money than we had originally planned on. So she's helping us with that.
Who is she? I'm sorry, I'm not sure.
Kathleen Violet. No, Kathleen Violet. So she's helping us with that. So we're looking at bus grants. We're looking at also a possible, and I need to get with the food pantry, working on a co-grant or work with Fish to get them pointed in the direction of a grant to finish the building that they want to add on to. So that's kind of, so I'm looking at buses, infrastructure for the township when it comes to building maintenance, ball field maintenance and things of that nature that are ongoing. Then there's another one that goes back, there's another grant. For instance, the Walmart Foundation is, we're understanding, what she's pulling together for us is the understanding of how the grants need to be written to get certain things accomplished. Even buses could be possibly come through Walmart grant because they take people shopping at Walmart. Playground, question mark, because you can't name a playground after the Walmart Corporation.
I still don't
I don't
understand
believe
that,
that. Yeah, it just, I think that's in township code. And then again, food pantry assistance is working with, I want to work with the partner on the premises to help them with their building and any funding that they may need through the year for additional food service. So focused on parks, well, buses first, food pantry second, and third is we know we are deficient in that playground equipment that's coming up. So those are the three that we're kind of focused on, and then any others that she has from that standpoint, we're going to try to focus on.
You're aware that Sue Rose helped us with the bus grant in the past, correct?
Correct.
I'm just, I don't know if you're aware of that or not.
Yeah, she's going to reach out to Sue, and also I need to get her all of the documentation that surrounds the bus grant so that we can do that.
Also, back to the food pantry, I did talk to Jerry from Home Depot just the other day. If you recall, she did say she would help the food pantry.
Sure.
With the refrigerators or whatever. She said make sure that we apply in March for Home Depot's grant for the food pantry.
Mark?
Yeah.
The remainder of that gift card from the garden stuff, that couldn't be used for the food pantry, could it?
That's strictly for the garden, that's what they gave it to us for.
So one of the building they're trying to add on to is not going to have refrigeration. It's just going to be dry goods warehousing. So
Maybe they can give us lumber, like, you know,
pardon me?
construction.
Well, that's just it.
Right.
I need to get down there to the food pantry and ask them, and ask them for their business plan or their plan for that building.
But they could apply for it themselves to Jerry if they wanted to.
Absolutely, and that's kind of where I want to guide them, is to working with them and guide them to these grants that are available also. It's the partnership part of it, 100%, John.
On the grant for the playground equipment, I recall when the vendor came in and presented their plans for one option for the playground equipment, they mentioned that they also will work towards getting grants
Correct.
as part of their service. So other vendors may also do the same. So are we should we maybe go at that a different direction? Should we maybe get another bid or two from other vendors, see if we can decide maybe what direction we want to go with the equipment, and then ask what help they can provide as far as the grants, then that might help us select which option we go with. Then that would also kind of kill the bird of needing to get multiple options, multiple bids. If it was an
I
RFP.
think what it requires us to do is put together some sort of plan. What do we want to see in a park? And then go to each one of the different vendors out there and say, this is what we believe. Or you can work it backwards too, and say, just have them come in and present. And then we can write a spec off of that. And absolutely, that's something we can initiate.
Is that something that the Board of Trustees would do or the Parks Department would do?
We would have to approve the money, I'm sure.
Right, but once they do the legwork, then it comes to us.
Correct.
Correct.
Okay. To make sure they're getting what they want.
I mean, I think we all agree the best way to go is to keep all the posts where they are.
If they
can, and
yeah.
rather than rework the whole playground.
So, yeah, so that first vendor would have to be adjusted, they would have to come look at it from that standpoint, because they were recommending a full tear out and replace.
Well, the company that charges the $500 and some to evaluate the equipment, couldn't they give us a bid, Gary, and take the $500 off what we paid them already?
They probably could. But I think this is also a budget discussion.
Well, that's our next, I get it, that's our next, I see that.
That's the thing is that, so we have a number out there. There's a number of $131,000 for a concept. You leave the post, you save, I don't know what the number was he said we would save. But if we leave the post, let's just call it $100,000. We'll need to go through the budget process to understand when will we have $100,000 available, because the things that I think the board also needs to recognize is that you need additional reserves for that in the bank. So we need to walk through the budget and understand what the priorities are on all of this.
Of course.
And a lot of these grants too, you have to have shovel-ready projects, and some of them will require partial funding also. Now, if the idea is to go and look for grants that are 100% funded, that's kind of what I'm focused on. Because right now, I don't have a plan, and I'm not sitting on a plan for a park, and I've got $50,000 set aside for it, or $20,000.
No, that was what I was saying. If we approach a vendor, even the one that gave us a proposal, just to say, hey, listen, what would the prospect look like of you helping us get a grant to cover this 100%? That might help us move along. I mean, right now it sounds like we can't really do anything until we know if there's a budget, but we can't, and Michelle made this point in a prior meeting, we really can't include something in the budget if we don't even know what the cost is going to be. We could take the cost from the first one, which we know is high, and just say this is the planned cost, and if we come in under that, then great, but.
Well, what we could do, Adam, is like space out $20,000 over the next 5 years to cover the playground equipment. That's something we could do. Till we get a grant, I don't know how else to approach that. I know, again, we're talking about the budget process, so probably should move on.
You know, from where I sit on a day-to-day standpoint and working with the budgets and everything else, is that, and I don't mean to be a doomsdayer, but we're still clawing back the money that was taken back. This year, we're going to finish with this year we're going to finish, and we will have reduced our reserves at the end of the year. So what I'm planning on trying to do is draw that line in the sand and say that we're not going to run any more deficit financing or budgets, meaning that we're not going to dig into our reserves. I need the board to tell me, is 3 months, 5 months, 6 months, 12 months in reserves the number that you feel comfortable with? And until we get to that point, we're maintaining what we have. We have buildings that need to be painted. So I understand that, and that's all part of the prioritization process that I think we're going to have to go through when we budget. And when we leave the budget this year, is that we should have a list of 4 or 5 items that we're wanting to put money in reserve each year so that we can accomplish those goals each year moving forward.
Are we done with 8.1 and moving on to 8.2? I'm just asking a question.
Any more comments on Grant Watch? I don't have anything else other than what I've shared, is that
No, I
we're
appreciate
looking
it.
at additional grants. And my area of focus is buses and the playground. And actually, the other one too we're looking at is senior services from the standpoint of activities, adding activities.
There's
So,
quite a few.
yeah, so
But
those
do you
are,
mind if I keep looking at grants, or?
no, you can keep looking at them. We can sort through them, and we need to prioritize what we're gonna look at. There's only so much time available.
That with Illinois Grant Watch, if you go for one of the grants, they will give you people to help you write the grant. And they won't charge you unless you get something back.
It's
You can hire one of the people to help write the grants.
okay. So you can't, in most of the grants, I'm learning too, is that when you receive the grant, I can't pay the grant writer out of that grant. That's illegal.
Well, Illinois Grant Watch is a little different than, we don't,
Okay, so what you're asking me to do is investigate Illinois grant.
I can do
law.
that. I mean, you got more important things to worry
Yeah.
about. I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, I would appreciate any research regarding how they operate and how they function and what our responsibilities would be. Absolutely.
Can I speak to that
Yes,
issue?
sure.
Yeah, I'm familiar with federal rules.
Mm-hmm.
And no, you can't pay for the grant writer, you can pay for the grant manager. So,
Yeah,
that's
it becomes,
probably what it is.
yeah, becomes part of, yeah. That's an expense inside the grant when you submit it as the grant manager.
Okay, well, that's probably their approach then, I don't. Any more discussion on 8.1?
So we'll close that. We'll move on to 8.2, to discuss the dates and times for budget workshops. So the idea in my head is to have a minimum of 3. We would like to have 1 between now and the end of January, after January 23rd, and then possibly 3 in February, and then come back in the March meeting for approval of the budget. So what I'm looking for from the board are dates that everybody can get together in the evenings to have these budget meetings. That's essentially what we're going to do, and then we can expand on our budget conversations at the budget meetings.
Yeah, we're not going to
the
discuss,
workshop.
we're
Yeah,
not
yeah.
going to discuss thoughts.
So
we're just
what
dates.
I would suggest is that in the next couple of days, look at your calendars. Please send me dates, and I'll try to coordinate with everybody, and we'll try to get 3 dates set, 3 or 4 dates set between now and then.
Now in March, or?
Now in March, yeah. Because the goal is to get it approved at the March meeting. So that's the discussion there. Any old business? There's no old business. 10, proposed agenda items for next meeting. Will you bring back some information regarding how Grant Watch
Yeah.
functions? Okay. And I'll take one on for, in regards to, I'll sit down with Highway Commissioner Condon and understand what grants he's working. I know he's working CDBG, and see what others he's working with, if any.
yeah, well, there may be other CDBG grants, he could go after too. I mean, kind of with CDBG, it can be, you can initiate, when they put out their solicitation, there's like a broad range of things that they can go for.
Correct.
And you can kind of invent something that
Yes.
it's not so well delineated that you can't invent something.
At this point, I know, and I'll have to ask the Highway Commissioner what he's got in there. I believe the CDBG grants are closed
For this season.
for this season.
Yeah.
There's always,
Right.
that's, I'm trying to grow and look forward, and rather than just firefighting daily, I'm trying to look and grow forward, so.
Yeah. Oh, and one other comment on with regard to funding grant writers, there is an exception. if it's a Kickstarter grant, in other words, one to help get an organization going or expanding, then, or moving in a particular direction.
Can a government agency do that?
What's that?
Can a government agency?
Yeah, yes, they can give you a grant, not for the Kickstarter grant they can't give you, because they can't fund something that was done before the grant started. But what they can do is they can fund a grant to develop the expertise and write future grants. So as a Kickstarter, if it's a Kickstarter program, then you can hire a grant writer, so to speak, and that person can work on follow-up grants. They just can't be funded for the Kickstarter grant itself. So you just can't do ex post facto payment of work that hasn't been completed before the grant began.
Good to know.
Any other proposed items for the next agenda? Okay, those two being there. Item 11, supervisor report. Any questions regarding my report?
The only question I have too is regard to general assistance and emergency assistance.
Yes.
I noticed that emergency assistance, we spent almost $100,000 already. And the general assistance might be $78,000. And I was wondering,
why?
yeah, I mean, it's such, I mean, I think I know why.
Yeah.
Okay.
The general assistance hurdles are a lot higher than the emergency assistance hurdles.
So I get that, but maybe we should look at that whole program again. I mean, because we don't have to do emergency assistance. I mean, I'm all for doing it, but if it's going to crush us, I think we need to look at that again. And again, it might be a budget issue. I'm just asking, bring it up because we're talking about general assistance.
From a budget standpoint, yes, I think that if we don't have the revenues to come in, well,
I think you understand what I'm saying.
well, first of all, fundamentally, that's what we're here for.
General assistance is one of the reasons we're here.
Correct.
Correct.
So the general assistance guidelines are, the hurdles are much higher to qualify, or not higher, but they're more difficult to qualify. So emergency assistance, yes. So what I guess I would have to ask and dive into a little deeper is the money that's in GA, can it be used for EA? And how much money do we want to use every year?
Because we've almost reached our limit on what we budgeted for emergency assistance.
Correct.
We're there. Basically, I'm pretty sure we're there.
Yeah.
So I'm sure in the next couple of months here, next meeting, our administrator might ask for more money to be put in emergency assistance.
To get us through to the end of March.
In March, correct.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah,
Is that something, again, which is for discussion, I'm not saying we should
Yeah,
take
right
a vote
now,
on
I
it.
mean, right now, the administrator also does all of the GAEA and works with the clients individually. And I believe that, well, at least the information that I'm getting from her is that we should be okay and not have to transfer any funds in there.
But if it comes up, I guess we need to look at,
There's a process. You want to know the process to transfer funds?
oh no, we do that tonight if we really wanted to, if we have a special meeting, we could do that, I know that. But my question is, what are the guidelines for someone to get money from EA versus GA? If GA is so much harder, then why are we making emergency, what's the word I'm looking for?
Why is
Easier to obtain.
Easier to obtain.
Right. I mean, because we're spending $100,000 versus $10,000. There's got to be, there's no balance there. Because one we have to do as part of what we're doing, whereas EA we don't have to. I'm not saying we need to discontinue EA, but maybe we should look at how we're giving the money out. The guidelines.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, so yeah, you want to understand the guidelines between the two different programs and how they qualify for the money.
Right. Topic for next meeting, I suppose.
Yep.
And then maybe add to that also, what are the limitations for the amount of money under each?
That's set by TANF.
Emergency assistance is unlimited, but I will tell you, once someone qualifies for emergency assistance, they can collect it forever, from what I'm being told.
Each case is looked at individually.
Correct.
And there's only certain categories that can be spent on. The TANF sets the limit for GA, and I don't know what the acronym is, but it's set by, oh God, I had that one. I thought I had it written down, but I don't. But TANF is who sets that, and we follow their guidelines. It's like $350.
What about for EA?
It's unlimited if the person qualifies. From what
I
I've
should
been
say
told.
unlimited for any of the expenses that qualify, just
Free.
So if somebody comes in here and they're on arrears and they qualify for EA for rent, and it's a one-time payment, and let's say it's $900, we would give them $900 to pay their rent,
one time.
one time.
So if they come back in 6 months, and they're also behind, does that count as another, is that another instance, another?
No, they're also supposed to engage in educational events on how to get the budget and everything
Yes,
else. So
of
yeah,
course.
we just don't approve $900 every month for a guy's rent.
No, not every month, I'm saying, should they find themselves in the same position at some point?
That's a
in
good
the
question.
future?
I don't know 100% the
I think the
answer.
administration committee will explain it to us the next meeting.
Yeah. No problem. We can do that.
Since we spent $100,000 on it.
Yeah, absolutely. So the third one is EA and GA qualifiers. Okay. 12, the assessor's report.
Sorry, I forgot to get the Okay, thanks. Hold on, this I should be.
Yeah, no, mine didn't go on either. Get the-
Oh, wait, there you go.
It's on.
There we go. This one.
So everybody here can hear me. Okay, basically, we're basically wrapping up our 2022 appeals. Our last hearings are scheduled for January 31st, which means we should be able to dive into the 2023 assessments a little sooner than normal. Usually, we're looking into March or so before that happens. When those hearings are done in the county, anyone who filed an appeal will get their final notice telling what the decision was at that level, and if anyone does not agree with that decision, they do have the opportunity to appeal with the state. We only had about 170 appeals this year, and I say only, but that's relatively low. Right now, what we mostly have left are commercial 100,000 appeals where they're requesting a reduction of more than 100,000 in assessed valuation. So typically we have a school district attorney that intervenes on those and works in conjunction with working out those appeals. Really, our new construction slowed down, kind of because of weather and mortgage rates and things like that. So the number of sales are down, but prices really are still kind of high. They're still staying high right through the end of 2022. We'll have to see what happens in 2023, but we're not seeing any reduction in that at this point. I do plan to have some, 2023 is a quadrennial, which by law we're required to look at all properties, and we're going to have a lot of work to do for 2023, and so I'm going to schedule some forums. I've held them in the past, didn't hold them during COVID, but we'll do them in person again. We'll set some dates and put that information out, just so people if they have questions. The tax bill, we'll typically do it right around the time the tax bill's coming out, because that's when a lot of people have questions, and we try to encourage people to start looking into information in case, on their property, in case they're interested in get them started early so that they understand the process. But we will make sure we get those dates out and put them on the website, and we also can publish those in the Herald. Typically I do a couple during the day and a couple in the evening. We'll see what happens with that. I also will start up again. I was holding Facebook Live sessions once a month, And, since we don't have a newsletter anymore, it's just a way to get some information out to people. And, even if some of it can be repetitive, but a lot of people, not everybody's watching it all the time. The good thing is it's taped and it's put on the website for people to look at if they're interested later. Other than that, just working on my portion of the budget, which have something before the end of January, and go from there.
Perfect.
That's all I have. Unless you have any questions.
I don't.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
13 is the Highway Commissioner's report. You've seen that in the package, I assume? Yeah, so it looks like he's finishing up Crestwood from a CDBG grant that was, and then 2023, he's looking at several roads to be included in another grant. Did you see that by chance?
No, I didn't get a chance to look through that part of the packet.
I'll just give this to you when we're done. I'll give this to you when
Okay.
we're done. And yeah, so essentially, he submitted an application, North Crest Hill, Ridgewood Avenue, between Crest Hill and North Crestwood Avenue, and North Ridgeway Road. And then as part of his road program, which I believe would mean that that's out of his funding, he's looking at Pioneer Road, Miller Road, from Spring Grove Road to Richmond Township maintenance line. So what I'll refer to as like Miller Oaks North up to Richmond. That's what I think that means. I'd have to double check off of Pioneer Road, so it wouldn't go all the way down to 31. But those are the kind of road programs that he's working on. I'll let you. That's that. 14.0, I don't have a need for an executive meeting at this time.
I look at the rest of the board, see what they feel.
Okay. Any board member comments? Trustee Shaver. Trustee Yeager.
None.
Trustee McCready.
Mary brought it up, and I do remember this coming up in our past. It's one of the meeting minutes, might have been November. You were supposed to discuss the newsletter.
We had,
It was brought up in the meeting, and we were supposed to put it on the agenda for discussion.
correct, and I believe that we were going to include that in the budget discussions.
Okay.
That's part of prioritization
Okay.
and do it in a workshop, if my memory serves me correct.
I'm just, the question came up with emergency assistance. Look, I do know what the numbers are.
Yep,
My reason I bring it up is because I just want to know what the qualifications are more than everything.
sure.
Because there's so much a family's entitled to, there's so much an individual's entitled to. I don't have a problem with those numbers. My question is, what are the qualifications? And why are they so easy? They appear to be easy to get.
Because of the amount of money spent.
Well, we spent $100,000. I mean, it's,
Correct.
again, it might have been money well spent. I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I'll definitely sit down with the administrator and talk to her about the qualifications for both programs, and we'll put together an explanation for next meeting. Yeah, she's out ill, so I would assume she'll be at the next meeting and be able to help us
Like
out.
I said, we almost reached the end of what we budgeted.
Yeah.
And that's the reason I'm bringing it up.
Okay. Okay, no further board comments. I'll take a motion for adjournment.
We have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor for adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it, motion passes. We're adjourned at 7:48.
Sorry it took so long there.
long.
I'd like to make a post-meeting
Sure.
comment regarding the newsletter. Are any of you folks, or all of you folks, getting the county emails of what they call Resume McHenry County?
Every week,
Yeah.
or every day, whatever it is.
Yeah.